He was not born in Canada. He did not grow up dreaming of its wild forests, its icebound lakes, or the thundering Niagara. He wasn't even supposed to stay. To most British officers in the early 1800s, a posting to British North America was little more than exile, an imperial backwater of frost and frustration. But Major General Sir Isaac Brock saw something more, and in the end, he gave everything for it. Born in 1769 on the island of Guernsey, Brock was the eighth son in a family of modest means but great ambition. He joined the British Army at the age of 15 and quickly earned a reputation as a disciplined, intelligent, and fearless officer. He served in the Caribbean and in Europe, and when he was posted to Upper Canada in 1802, he brought with him more than just redcoat polish. He brought vision. Canada at the time was fragile, barely held together by rivers, forests, and the faint loyalty of settlers. Britain was distracted by the Napoleonic Wars in Europe, and the United States, driven by expansionist fever, was casting greedy eyes to the north. Brock arrived in a colony unprepared for war, guarded by scattered militia, half-built forts, and a civilian population unsure of what or who they were willing to fight for. But Brock wasn't a bureaucrat. He was a soldier. He immediately set to work strengthening the defenses of Upper Canada. He reorganized militias, stockpiled supplies, repaired neglected forts, and pushed hard against both apathy and indecision in the colonial government. He was a man of action, frustrated by hesitation, and it was that action-first instinct that would define his legacy. When the War of 1812 broke out, Brock knew exactly what he was up against. The Americans had more men, more weapons, more industry, and a powerful desire to take Canada fast. He also knew that to stand a chance, he'd need allies. Enter Tecumseh, the Shawnee war chief whose dream was to unite indigenous nations into a confederacy capable of resisting American expansion. Brock recognized Tecumseh's brilliance and treated him as an equal. Their alliance was not symbolic, it was strategic, mutual, and built on respect. Tecumseh called Brock a big chief, a man of honor. Together, they would strike one of the earliest and most shocking blows of the war. In August 1812, the American Army under General William Hull had crossed into Canada and occupied Sandwich, modern-day Windsor. Brock didn't wait. While others hesitated, he gathered a force of just over 1,300 men, many of them indigenous warriors, and marched straight toward Detroit. Brock had a plan, not just to fight, but to intimidate. He dressed his men in full regalia, had them march in loops to appear more numerous, and encouraged Tecumseh's warriors to let loose war cries in the forests surrounding the fort. Brock even sent a letter to Hull warning that if he resisted, he might not be able to control his savage allies. It was psychological warfare at its finest. It worked. Hull surrendered the entire fort of Detroit without a single shot being fired. Over 2,000 American soldiers laid down their arms to a force a fraction their size. It was a stunning victory. London was elated. Brock was knighted and hailed as the savior of Upper Canada. His boldness had turned the tide of war, and for a moment, Canada's future looked possible. But the Americans weren't done. 2 months later, they launched a new invasion across the Niagara River at Queenston Heights. Brock rushed from Fort George to the front lines, galloping into battle in full dress uniform, his sword at his side. He climbed the steep slope under heavy fire, rallying his men with the now famous cry, "Push on, brave York volunteers!" A musket ball struck him in the chest. He fell instantly. Canada's greatest defender was dead, but his men, inspired by his courage, fought on. Reinforcements arrived. The British and Indigenous allies, including Mohawk warriors and local militia, held the line. The Americans were driven back across the river. Brock's final charge helped secure a vital victory, but at a terrible cost. Isaac Brock never saw Confederation. He never lived in the country he fought to defend. But his leadership, his bravery, and his alliance with Tecumseh planted the seeds of something deeper than territory: identity. He didn't just protect the land, he gave people something to believe in. Today, his body lies buried beneath a towering monument atop Queenston Heights, where he made his last stand. The statue gazes out across the Niagara River, toward the same border he died defending. He is remembered not just as a soldier, but as a symbol of courage, of conviction, and of a Canada that might never have existed if not for him. Please like and subscribe for more videos about Canada.